And welcome back everyone to another exciting qualifier, another edition of HomeStory Cup number 21, the Korean qualifier number 3. I'm of course your host, Light VIP, and with me just in the nick of time, joining me is the one, the only, someone who has turned off his his camera. It is Yakuzaku.
Not voluntarily. They wouldn't let me. Whatchamacallit. But yes, I will not be silenced. I am here.
There we go. He's made it. He's made it. And Yaku, we already have our first series. We already have a bit of a PvT.
Yeah. Nice little change of pace from from the other evening's Sparkling Tuna Cup. And we are all here for it. We are starting it off on Berlingrad, LE. We're in the bottom right-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom right-hand corner. We have a blue Terran player coming down from the land of Korea, representing... No, it's not Team GP anymore. Himself, currently, we have Percival.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Berlingrad, ALE, we have the man himself, the Red Protoss player representing Team GP. It is Prince. And I can't... Go on.
I was getting ready for a team kill until at the last... right at the end, I remember, wait a minute, he's not on Team GP anymore.
Yeah, yeah. The times do change. They do change. Doesn't always wear the same outfit. But yeah, I did also want to apologize to the chat. Exclamation mark be in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves. There was another series available to us, Armani versus Keen, and a massive part of me wanted to follow that series, wanted to go into that ZVT, but at the same time, I'm like, you know, I always try to avoid, like, I always try and dive on top of Zergs whenever I can. Let's switch things up a little bit here, especially because if you remember, mate, Prince, if you remember, I think it was in the first qualifier, he made it to like 2 qualifying matches, and he came so close against Björn, mate.
He really did. I think he got into the ace match against Björn, and then the second series also got very, very close. Not quite the ace match, but still very, you know, games that could have really gone either way. So I'm glad we were going to have a little bit of hype coming, following him here, especially as he decides to be a little bit cheeky with this probe.
Yo, let's go. The pylon is thrown down. Everything back at home, for the most part, is looking pretty standard. You have a 1-1 opening from Percival. No 2 or 3 racks or anything like that. Sorry, 3 racks specifically here coming out from him, and we'll see what gets proxied here. Cybercore is done.
Oh, and Percival does dip on in. Doesn't quite see a second pylon here in the main base, but of course, he knows that there is an expansion already. Stargate going to be the choice here for Prince.
Yeah, this is interesting because we don't see this too often anymore. I feel like proxy Stargate used to be a little bit more frequent, a little bit more prevalent in some of the other maps, but some of the older maps, I should say. So it's been a while since we've seen this in a PvT. Like, if you remember back in the proxy Void Ray meta, that was all the craze.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I definitely remember this. Back then, you know, you also have the shield batteries being thrown down a little bit further away, right outside the third base location. Percival, however, is on top of things and will scout the Oracle coming this way.
Oh, beautiful scout here by Percival. He sees everything. He's going to be getting ready back at home. Cyclone already coming out. I mean, he was playing it safe regardless, but we even have a second Cyclone, so he'll have plenty of anti-air. It's all about whether or not he's going to be in position, and bearing in mind that Prince did see that he got scouted with the vision of his own building, so he knows that his opponent's going to be ready, so he should be babysitting this Oracle.
Should being the operative word. Yeah, of course, since he did already get scouted, it looks like he's not going to commit too hard into this. He does throw down a revelation there, and we'll be able to keep this Oracle alive for later down the line. But not going to get as many or even any worker damage like he would have liked to.
Yeah, so far this Oracle hasn't really been worth it. Oh my god, the second Cyclone!
Oh, it does lock on, but right at the last second, somehow that Oracle breaks out of range of that. That is a very lucky Oracle coming down, and Percival is having a pretty good time just clearing up this proxy right now. Mag field accelerated is about halfway done for him, so if he so wanted to, he could keep going on and try to, you know, snipe a building here and there with his Cyclones.
Yeah, like clearly because he's getting magfield, he wants to hit a timing. Stim is on the way, tanks as well. He's going to be making a lot of use, as much use of these Cyclones as possible. And this is going to hit hard on 2 bases. And ideally, it's not just going to break through that that third base, but also maybe even the natural, maybe even kill his opponent. He has to be careful though. I love it. Prince, because he kept his Oracle alive, he is throwing down some stasis traps.
Barely kept the Oracle alive. I still almost don't believe it.
Oh god, barely alive here. This is honestly pretty crucial, especially because we invested so much into magfield. If this one Cyclone does get picked off before any uses comes out of it, then oh, that would have been huge. But Prince mistimed that a little bit. The Cyclone does escape. Up!
Fortunately for Percival, Blink was not finished for Prince yet. Finally, that Oracle goes down. And this is just about the beginning right now for Percival. Stim still a little bit of a ways off, but with this tank, there's still plenty of damage that he can get done.
Oh, exactly. He rotates around. He completely avoids the vision of Prince. The tank does siege up. Blink did finish up here for our Protoss player, so he is going to be able to micro his heart out here. But we even have bunkers being thrown down.
Yeah, just to do a better job of keeping the Marines alive. Stalkers Blink right on top of that tank. Unfortunately for Percival, a couple of his Cyclones were actually locked onto different units, but regardless, Percival has far too many Marines at this point. Follow-up tank is coming down. The bunker actually gets dealt with. All right.
Yeah, SCV was sniped. What's important is that Stim is done, but Percival is being so careful with whether or not he does Stim. He knows that right now what's more important is keeping this tank up and running.
I really like how he's targeting down these gateways as well, trying to depower or kill them as quickly as possible. That's pretty much just nullifying any defender's advantage Prince would have when it comes to reinforcements.
Oh yeah, pretty much. Meanwhile, here we go once again. Stalkers do get in range of that tank. Shield battery will finish up. Overcharge is going to be available soon here, but a second tank rocks up again as Percival is just rallying everything he has across the map.
One after another, and here comes that Stim. Prince is going to beat that with a battery overcharge. Is there enough DPS? Well, there's enough DPS to take out the Stalkers. Not so much the Immortals, though, and now that the Marine count has been badly thinned out, these tanks are in quite a bit of trouble.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like he actually all-army stimmed as well, because some of his units that are trickling in do have some lost HP, so not ideal here. Twilight Council is going to go down, but a Colossus is on the way. This river is pretty exposed, so even if the Colossus does come out, like, it's going to be a little bit vulnerable.
Yeah, it has to be so careful. The tanks are already in range. Moving the Colossus back, and now he's pulling the boys with everything that he has got. Decent target firing coming out from Percival.
Yeah, it looks like target firing is pretty good. He does get the Immortal. Can he get the Colossus? Up, the one Marine!
Just not quite, but damage has already been dealt here. 18 probes do go down, as well as the Twilight Council, and a lot of production for Prince as well. Thankfully, though, he is on Triple Nexus.
He is. Like, Prince, his worker count is still pretty healthy, all things considered. You know, pretty equal with Percival right now. And Percival, again, this was pretty all-in. It still is all-in. The second wave is now coming. This time, though, with more Marauders. So the ability to, like, dive on top of this Colossus is there. He didn't remake it Immortal. And, yo, he hasn't remade a second Colossus.
Yeah, he actually canceled that at the end in order to remake that Twilight Council. A little bit of an awkward timing, all things considered, here for Percival. Yeah, the Marauders are still standing strong, though, and the gateway buffer has been nullified. Come on, you just got target fire, but the battery overcharge won't let it happen here.
Yeah, that was a questionable blink there by Prince to try and dive on those tanks. Somehow that tank survives. The target fire is good enough. The Colossus goes down as well, and with that, that's the backbone of Prince's army. But it looks like he barely has enough gateway units. Sure, tanks are trickling out, but again, they're trickling. There is no buffer, not yet. He has to regroup.
Regroup like so. Far in the open ground here. He doesn't want to blink just yet, and Percival's having a pretty fun time just collapsing on top of them. Not gonna have as good a time dealing with this, though.
Yeah, thankfully, because he killed the Twilight Council, there's no charge. So these are vanilla Zealots. At the same time, though, one full medevac does get sniped.
Yeah, luckily it wasn't the medevac that had the tank in it, but even still, at this point of your Percival, you don't want to be bleeding out units like this. He is in such a precarious economic position. He's being cleaned up here, and he's debating whether or not to keep on going. I do like that he's now starting to create a third base.
Yeah, he's throwing it down on location. He keeps the tank alive. GG gets called. Prince has been broken, and Percival takes the first game.
Nicely done here.
Oh my god.
I do think that, yeah, nicely done here. I do think that Percival was planning to go for that build all along, but, you know, it's a nice little adaptation that he made to just be as as aggressive early on as he was.
Yeah.
Because he saw an opportunity with the proxy.
Exactly. Like, I, for a moment there, especially when the second wave was getting pushed back, I was like, "Ooh, was it a wise choice to go for the natural?" But because he did get on top of so much production, and because he was able to completely deny charge as well, it was well worth it. It took a while, and Prince almost did held, but almost. It's not good enough, mate.
Yeah. What's the phrase? Close only counts in whatchamacallit? Restaurants?
What?
That's a saying.
Close restaurants?
Yeah.
There you go, yes. Singaporean restaurants, you know? They're just close. They are.
Yeah. Let's walk downstairs. As we continue our series on to Hardwire LE. Of course, in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner, we have a blue Terran player coming out from the land of Korea. He is, in many ways, kind of the new shepherd of Terran, in a way. I know there's plenty of hype coming around this fella right here. He is currently representing himself, as he is teamless. He is Percival.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Hardwire LE, we have the South Korean Protoss player himself representing Team GP. It is Prince.
Sound though, supporting the no Zerg stream coming out here. And I'm not gonna lie, like, you were talking a little bit about how you wanted to go into Armani and Keen, but you didn't really want to be too saturated with Zerg. I'm not gonna lie, I thought you were gonna say I didn't want to seem too predictable and casting the two players that we always cast.
That's another thing, right? Like, you know, we always cast Armani. Keen is frequenting our tournaments as well. You know, we want to spread the love a little bit, right? Like, we want to be able to support some of these other players that aren't, you know, usually featured on the CranKy Ducklings. We want to show them some love, and I think it's worth it here, especially because, bearing in mind, you know, Prince went all the way to the ace match against Bjorn, and now he's one game away of being knocked out of the upper bracket. You know, Percival doing very well here with his builds, and likewise here in game 2, also coming very prepared.
Oh, yeah, definitely wants to go in for. He knows how tricky Percival can really be, so I do appreciate the slightly earlier probe scout, but Percival always at least 2 steps ahead here.
And speaking of 2 steps, we do have 2 Raxes as Reapers are going to be rallying across the map here for Percival. It's not the most committed kind of 2 Rax because it's not being proxied or anything like that. They're just being rallied across the map. But with this, you can get some economic damage done. You can get scouts off as well. Like, how many probes are going to fall here? And where is this Stalker going to be? You know, hopefully at home once it comes out.
Yeah, well, I have to check where it's rallied. I guess it doesn't matter anyway. It would still end up meeting that Reaper even if it was rallied across the map. It's looking pretty normal right now for all Prince knows, but hang on a second. There's a second Reaper coming to meet it.
Oh, there is. So far, Percival has kept this hidden from Prince for the time being. We do have a second Stalker on the way, though. The Reaper cliff has been walled off, so Percival hasn't found a way in yet. But that Reaper count is getting, you know, slowly higher and higher. We're actually transitioning into a 3-rack, so all off of 1 base, by the way. But there is a natural on the way.
I love this. I love this a lot. It's not gonna hit as early, I think, as the more standard 3-racks, but with all these additional Reapers, it does give Percival complete control of the map early on. Just needs to make sure he doesn't lose too many of them.
Exactly. Meanwhile, here we go. A couple of probes already going down. 4 probes in total. Can we get a 5th? Oh, we cannot.
Decent trade coming in here for Percival. Of course, we'll have to see what this follow-up can really get done.
Oh, exactly. Again, so far, Prince is still in the dark. He did have a spotter probe here on the low ground, but he does move away, so now he's not entirely sure, again, what the production is looking like. We see a fast concussive shell as well, by the way, so if Prince becomes the aggressor, if Prince moves out with his Blink Stalkers and he gets caught, then they're dead, mate.
Yeah, pretty much. Last thing you want to meet is concussive shell stalkers in the middle of the map. That's if you're a stalker. Did I say concussive shell stalkers? I meant concussive shell marauders. If you're a stalker.
There you go.
Yo, but imagine how good stalkers would be though if they had concussive shells.
That would be terrifying. If they could out micro you and slow you down as well. That's terrifying.
I want that. Or you could trade. Give Marauders Blink and give Stalkers Concussive Shells.
That is terrifying. Oh my god.
Roaches. I'm sorry, Roaches. You're just gonna be the same.
Frost Giant, I hope you're not listening to what Yaku is saying here.
Frost Giant, hire me.
Oh god. Meanwhile, here we go. Percival is gonna be moving out. Yo, this is a timing before Blink, but we don't. Who needs Blink when you have a War Prism?
Yeah, some have called Stalkers Immortal Light. And this is another way that they kind of are. You can still fairly easily micro them with the Warp Prism. Not that much anti-air here to really threaten that Warp Prism, and now there's no anti-air.
This is brutal, mate. Like, again, this timing was supposed to hit these gateway units and trade incredibly well and kill some Stalkers. Looking at the units lost tab, he got 1 Stalker for 2 Marauders and 8 Marines. Ay.
Yeah, not a very efficient trade for a Terran player, to say the least, and now the tables have completely turned. Prince, he's got Blink, he's going to get high ground vision with both the Warp Prism and the Observer. More importantly, with the Warp Prism, he can continue to reinforce this position over and over and over again. He is so safe to take this third Nexus.
Yeah, exactly. Because that was completely shut down, like, he can expand, he can tech up if he wants to, he can go into a Robotics Bay, start working on extended thermal lance, he can do whatever the hell he wants. But what he wants to do right now is be aggressive with his Stalkers. He takes down the bunker, and he can do this because of the opener. The factory is not ready. There are no tanks.
Yeah, Percival now forced to pull the boys, but every killed SCV is a dead SCV. And there's no minerals that he's gonna be mining. he's in a bad economic position. Is what I'm trying to say.
Have a fucking way with words, Yaku. A killed SCV is a dead SCV. Holy shit, you're right.
I'm the writer.
Every SCV that doesn't die, it's living, mate. Holy, oh my god. It's great to have you back, Yaku. Oh god. Yeah, and this Prince, of course, he is taking up. There we go. There is our production. We have a forge. We have a robotics bay as well. So again, with this containment, he has had the freedom to do whatever he wants. Percival, how can he come back from here? I don't mind it. He is working on those medevacs.
Oh yeah, I think the big. This is definitely going to be a little bit tricky for Percival. I think the big response that we've been getting recently, which I guess it's never really, I guess it's always been there, but has been a bit more prominent nowadays in TVP. When behind, turtle.
Yeah.
Just turtle up on however many bases you can defend at that point. Try to get a big army. If you can spare the supply, go into harass, but you should be focusing everything right now on just defending.
Yeah, pretty much. And even though right now Percival is focusing on defending, he's still lost so much here. I don't know if you saw the micro by Prince, but it was absolutely disgusting the way that he was able to blink back and then have a second blink with the War Prism as well. These Stalkers have just done so much for themselves. And again, these are just Stalkers, you know, there's more behind this. The Colossus are now on the way. You know, we do have potential to maybe go for a drop, but like this army is still incredibly overstimmed. Like the medevacs are running out of energy trying to keep everything alive.
So what I'm hearing from you, Light, is pull the boys.
100%. Actually, unironically,
yeah.
I think that's the only way out here for Percival. We'll see. Like, he still has a lot of firepower in this army. You know, he's got a couple of Widow Mines involved as well. Yeah,
honestly, the army supply is looking fairly even. Obviously, Prince is going to be getting those backbone AoE units pretty soon, but Percival still has a lot of Marauders in his army. He still has, like you said, a ton of Widow Mines, which if they can get even some decent, half-decent connections, then Percival can still pull this off.
Yeah, I agree. Like, there is sure one Colossus. Soon there's going to be two Colossi. So the longer this goes on, the more unlikely an SCV pool is going to work. But I do think it is definitely a way for Percival to like exploit this kind of scenario, where we don't have that much right now. Maybe he can overwhelm, but that the clock is ticking, Yaku. And the SCVs are mining.
Yeah, at least they're not dead though.
True.
But they should be, across the map.
You should be dead. Oh my god, Yaku.
Alright, Percival is rounding off his army a little bit with a couple of Vikings. He's pushing across the map right now, and he still has a lot of DPS in his army. It's very much dependent on how well he's going to be able to position this and how well he's able to get some flanks on top of the main army of Prince. But since Prince does have the defender's advantage, it's hard to really imagine a scenario where this goes well for a blue Terror player.
It is hard. This army does get spotted, by the way, by that spotter. Pro. Meanwhile, here we go. Charge has completed as well. The army of Prince is just moving on forward. We do have a couple of Widowmine shots going off, but all the Widowmines are going to get taken out.
Yeah, those are obviously some pretty good connections on top of a lot of the charge lots. The supply of charge lots has just about been dealt with, but so have the Marines. The Stalkers are still standing strong. More importantly, the Colossus have been completely untouched. GG! Prince is able to tie up the series sideways 1-1, showing that he is not somebody to sort of dismiss after, a game that didn't go his way on Berlingrad.
Yeah, there you go. We are going to that ace match. Prince almost in full control, basically in full control that game, but that also was because Percival was pretty committed with his 3-Rex builds after the 2-Rex opener, and for him to lose all those Marauders, all those Marines, like it was devastating.
Yeah, definitely felt like Percival went for a bit of almost a worst of both worlds build that he was going for there. Like you mentioned it even at the start, Percival was not committed was not too committed with his 2-Rex opening. He didn't proxy it across the map, but then he still sent his immediate follow-up force after his Reapers. With that, even though he was building back at home, it's one or the other. Proxy and go in with everything early, or build up back at home slowly. And it either.
We didn't get either. Feels bad, man. We didn't even get the boys pulled, mate. We didn't even get the boys pulled.
Yeah.
SMH.
But they died anyway.
They did. But we'll see. We'll see where this series takes us. It is the ace match. Could go either way.
It really could. Players just asking for a quick bio break here, and obviously it is within their rights. I just realized Kuro added quote 68. The next thing that's added is going to be quote 69.
Oh, we gotta make our own mate.
We need to get milk back.
Let's go. Milk him for all he's worth. Oh god. Can't believe we have 68 quartz.
Half of them aren't. I would like it if half of them aren't even like actual quotes.
I thought you were gonna say I'm pretty sure half of them are just bad.
Yeah.
But, it's been a number of years though. It's been a long time coming, building up.
The first Kuro ... was in 2017. Yeah. Now we have multiple of them. As we conclude this best of 3 series now on 2,000 atmospheres. LE. And of course, in the bottom left-hand corner map, running all the way in the bottom left-hand corner, we have a blue Terran player coming out from the land of Korea. He is the Shepherd. He is leading the new generation of Terran players. Not even Terran players. I know a lot of Zerg players who are big fanboys of this particular fella. He is currently teamless, which is a bit of a travesty. He is Percival.
Turning to SCVs across the
No.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of 2000 Atmospheres ALE, getting proxied, we have the South Korean Protoss player himself. He is red representing Team GP. It is Prince.
Getting proxy 3 racks. Well, okay, only 2 of them proxy, but it's a 3 racks nonetheless.
Yes, it is. Meanwhile, Percival has the wall off. The probe is walking in, and there we go. We do have the full wall off. Prince is now in the dark. The first racks is a part of the wall, and because of that, everything looks kind of normal here for Prince.
Yeah, I have to wonder how suspicious Prince is going to be after being blocked off from the main base. Is he going to send a couple of units around the periphery of his bases right now? So far, not at all.
So far, he just beat Chilean back at home, and I don't blame him. You know, last game, we also had a similar story where we had a second Rex in the main of Percival, so it's possible that could happen again. We do have a Marine first here revealed to Prince. Oh, is that enough of a tell, though? So far, no, he has not responded at all. He is not checking the edges of his bases.
Yeah, on the one hand, it's not a Reaper, so he knows that Percival is going to be planning to not scout at all. On the other hand, there have been a lot of Terran players who just skip out entirely on the scouting. All of the boys have been pulled here, literally all of them. There is 0. Okay, there's still a mule here, but it's not really going to do too much.
Mate, you know what, Percival? He was listening to the stream. He heard us talk about how we needed to pull the boys earlier, and here we go in game number 3. Straight away, the Marines are rocking up. There are no bunkers involved in this, by the way. We don't have the resources for it. And yo, oh my god, he needs to get us around on the Adept.
I mean, who needs bunkers if the SCVs are going to act as your bunkers?
True.
Loving the kiting coming down right now for Percival. Prince trying to target fire as best he can. He's trying not to waste his attacks on these SCVs and set to take out the Marines, but the kiting is just a little too good for Percival.
Wow.
Man with gun is just a little bit too OP.
Exactly. There's only a single Adept remaining, 1 Adept and 1 probe, and now it's going to be, oh my god, nothing else as the Adept is being hunted down in the corner of the base. Nothing here is left. Looking at the unit tab, we have 2 probes remaining here, and this pylon is going to get taken out. We have an overcharge to try and keep it alive. Can he get an Adept out? Even if he does, there's no way 1 Adept deals with all these Marines.
But on the bright side right now, for Prince, these are all the Marines available for Percival. Literally 0 mining.
And but the mule, though.
The mule!
The mule! The Adept goes out. GG gets called in. Percival does it. He takes the series.
2-1. As it goes to show you the power of the boys. In a way, GG, very well played here for Percival, showing some very interesting builds coming out. This is why I think a lot of people are kind of looking to Percival to be that next vanguard of Terran who has all sorts of different strategies to play out pretty much any matchup.
Yeah. Like, to be fair, when it comes to specifically Prince and Percival, we didn't really get to talk much about it, but they are kind of the next generation of pro players. You know, they are these up-and-comers, you know, similar to Chance, except I feel like Percival and Prince have been around at it a little bit longer. They're trying to break into that pro scene. They're trying to break into that, like, top 24 of GSL or whatever that round is called now.
Round 20.
Yeah, round of 20, there we go. And Prince came close last time, but this time Percival is a little bit more on fire here, specifically with his builds. But now, can he take out a more established player?
This is what I'm definitely looking forward to here. Like, you mentioned it, Prince against Björn, that was very, very close. But Björn also played it pretty standard. He played it out a pretty standard game, and Prince is, you know, able to keep up very, very well. Percival kind of outbrained Prince in this particular match, but he's going up against straight up the smartest Zerg player out there. The biggest brain Zerg player out there in Ragnarok for our next round.
Oh, yeah. You know, there was some big brain plays from Percival, but now he's up against the brain in all of South Korea. Not just in StarCraft, but literally in every facet of life. Ragnarok is here. And Oh boy, Percival has a bit of a mountain to climb. Meanwhile, we also got a couple of updates. Switching on over our scenes, we have our bracket, and already we have our next 2 series lined up for us.
Yeah, Armani just zoomed on through his first round match, took out Keen 2-0. I guess it's a good thing we didn't cast that match, because if we did, we'd have been waiting. We'd have been waiting a while for something else to cast here. Armani's going to be waiting for the winner of Ragnarok versus Percival